take it to the top. We got to keep it moving. We got to keep it high. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top. We got to keep it moving. We got to never stop. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top.
Hey guys, I'm the Black Pearl and welcome to the latest episode of My Future, My Career.
And I am Zola. My Future, My Career is proudly brought to you by Nedbank.
Now, this Nedbank initiative is aimed at equipping you to make informed choices when it comes to choosing your career.
We'll take an in-depth look at different careers, what they entail, and chat to experts in different industries.
Now, sometimes we love them, sometimes we don't, but we've all spent a lot of time under their care. Now, if you have the knack for imparting information, then maybe you've considered this career field.
Yes, today we are talking about education and educators, and where would we be without them? They play a vital role in educating the nation, and there are many different rewarding careers available within the educating sector.
So, if you've ever been inspired by a special teacher and you'd like to inspire the next generation of learners, stay right with us as we discover more about the informative world of education.
Yes, Pearl, let's get straight to it.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
We kick off with a special message from the man himself, Mike Brown, CEO of Nedbank.
If you plan carefully, set goals for yourself, and then work hard to achieve these, you can be anything you want to be.
And then we talk to the Dean of the Faculty of Education at UJ on how you become an educator.
We need excellent teachers. We need teachers who really will make a difference in the lives of our young people.
Plus, we give you some top tips from the fairy godmother.
What I do is I teach people how to turn their dreams into reality.
All that and more on the show today.
Do you have big dreams of pursuing your ideal career but don't have the financial means?
Or check out the bursary info in your booklet to find out the many ways in which you can get funds to study.
Let's get straight into it. Check it out.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Hello, my name is Mike Brown, and I'm the CEO or Chief Executive Officer of Nedbank. And I'm here today to talk to you about careers. Selecting a career for yourself can be a very confusing process. Now that you are in secondary school, you are expected to begin carving a path for your future. The difficulty is that at this point in your life, some of you might not have enough information or experience to make the right choice, and careers themselves are changing rapidly as technology evolves. I was fortunate enough to pursue a career I felt passionately about, but I was in a way lucky to start down the right path, influenced more by what some friends were doing and what my parents thought than through any formal career guidance. After school, I completed a Bachelor of Commerce degree, followed by a diploma in accountancy, and finally qualified as a chartered accountant with Deloitte in the early 1990s. After 17 years in the banking industry, I have achieved a milestone in my career, to have the privilege of leading a proud organization that traces its history back to the 1830s. I say fortunate because I believe that I am the exception, not the rule. To help you become the exception and not the rule, we have launched the My Future, My Career initiative. Through a series of interviews with industry professionals and educational specialists, we hope to paint a clear picture of a wide range of careers available to you, so you don't just follow your friends like I did. To complement the series, we will also be providing each of you with a booklet containing national curriculum information, career information, places to study, and bursary information. These tools will assist you in making an informed choice that will point you in the right direction to match your skills, aptitudes, and passions to market opportunities and get you started on your selected path. Nedbank's slogan is "Make Things Happen." This applies not only to the bank, but to each of you in your own lives. So use the valuable information you will receive today to plan out your own future and make it happen. If you plan carefully, set goals for yourself, and then work hard to achieve these, you can be anything you want to be. Take every opportunity you have and don't be afraid to be ambitious. Who knows, you may even be the CEO of Nedbank one day, or maybe you have already set your goals even higher.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
Professor Sarah Gravett has been a researcher, a teacher, and is currently the Dean of the Faculty of Education at the University of Johannesburg. Now, as Dean of the Faculty, she has led a number of research projects, particularly focused on the improvement of education practice.
Yes, Pearl. Now, she's also the author and co-author of several articles and books on this and other related themes. Please welcome
Sarah, welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. Very good to be with you.
Awesome. Now, you are the Dean of the Faculty of Education at UJ. What is the purpose of this faculty?
Well, we train teachers, educate teachers for the different levels from the foundation phase to senior and FET phase. But we also do research in education, and we also have postgraduate programs in education where you can do an honours degree, master's degree and a doctoral degree in education.
Professor, what would you say are some of the academic requirements would I need to become a great educator?
Of course, you need a valid National Senior Certificate. And then we look at your so-called APS scores, your points that you have in terms of your matric results. And at different faculties of education and at different universities, the points scores will be different. But that is the important issue, that you need to have good matric results.
Yeah, now let's say I want to be an educator, just out of the blues. How long would the course take me, and what does the course entail?
Okay. There are two pathways. The one is the B.Ed degree, which is a 4-year degree, which you study education for 4 years. The second pathway is that you first do a bachelor's degree in any area. It can be a BCom, a BA, a BSc, and then you do a 1-year postgraduate certificate in education to become a teacher.
Now, does the training differ depending on what age or what subject you want to do?
Yes, indeed. We have tailor-made programs for the foundation phase, for the early years of schooling. Then there's an intermediate phase program, which is basically primary school teaching, and then a senior phase and FET program. So these are tailor-made programs to ensure that our students are well prepared for the phase in which they will be teaching.
Now, can you specialize in certain aspects of education?
Yes, indeed, you can. You can specialize in terms of phase, so you can do education for the foundation phase, the early years of schooling. Then you can do education for the middle school years, which is the intermediate phase, and you can do education in the senior phase and FET phase, which are the qualifications for high school teachers. But you can also specialize in terms of subject knowledge.
Now, is there a requirement in the teaching profession to do any professional development after you graduate?
Oh, indeed. It's very important. If you want to be a good teacher, you need to ensure that you keep abreast with the changes in the curriculum and that you know about the content knowledge that you need. And therefore, also at the Faculty of Education at UJ, we offer in-service teacher education programs for those teachers who are already in the profession.
What kind of challenges does an educator face in the workplace?
Firstly, teaching is very hard work. And if you want to be a good teacher, not being a good teacher is not hard work at all, but good teaching is very hard work. And secondly, also in many of our schools in South Africa, we have children that come from very difficult circumstances. Poverty, child abuse, drugs, and they bring all of that into the classroom. And we need teachers who are able to deal with all these challenges, because what the child brings from home influences his or her achievement in school.
Now, what personal qualities do learners need in order to succeed in your faculty?
Of course, you need to be willing to work hard, and you need to be willing to work consistently, and you need to attend all your lectures and do a lot of reading and a lot of studying. If you do that, you will succeed at university in any course. But of course, also to be a teacher, you need to be people-focused, you need to be people-oriented, and you need to love to work with young people.
Now, would you say this career is great for both men and women?
Oh yes, of course. We need excellent role models for our young men and our young women. So therefore, we need both men and women in the teaching profession.
Now, as a faculty, what sort of challenges do you face?
We find that the teaching profession as such doesn't have a very good image, which is a real pity, because we need excellent teachers. We need teachers who really will make a difference in the lives of our young people. But fortunately, it seems to be changing in terms of young people who are now moving into education, and who seem to see this as a good career.
But how do we get there, Professor? How do we get those good teachers? Is it a personal skill? Is it from within? How do we get there?
A good teacher is firstly somebody who has good knowledge of teaching, and therefore we need excellent teacher education. And we need also good teacher education in terms of subject knowledge. But of course you need people who care. A good teacher is somebody who really cares for each individual learner in his or her classroom. A good teacher is enthusiastic. A good teacher is inspiring. And I'm sure all of us can think back at our school days, and we can think of those teachers who gave us a oomph and who helped us to have a vision for ourselves. But we can unfortunately also remember those teachers who really shouldn't be in the teaching profession. So my wish would of course be that we have the first category, those who are inspiring, those who really care about our learners.
Now, would you recommend education as a career path, and why?
Oh, of course I would. I was a teacher myself for many years. And let me tell you, I didn't want to be a teacher. I thought, not a good profession. And I did it during that stage, studied to become a teacher because there was a good bursary available. And I thought I will be a teacher for a while and then I'll leave the profession. But I really loved it so much. You make a difference in young people's lives. And until today, it gives me a kick when I encounter one of my students of many, many years ago, and they still see me as their teacher, somebody who made a difference in their life. So if you're looking for an excellent salary, it's not the profession for you. If you're looking for a profession in which you can serve, a profession in which you touch people's lives, then it's the profession for you. I brought you two quotes that capture for me the essence why teaching is such a fulfilling profession. Henry Brooke Adams says, "A teacher affects eternity. He or she can never tell where his or her influence stops." And that's great. The second one is that the teacher says, "The future of the world is in my classroom today. A future with the potential for good or bad. Several future presidents are learning from me today. So are the great writers of the next decades. And so are the so-called ordinary people who will make the decisions in a democracy. I must never forget that these same young people could be the thieves and murderers of the future. Only a teacher? Thank God I have a calling to the greatest profession of all. I must be vigilant every day, lest I lose one fragile opportunity to improve tomorrow."
Wow, that is nice.
Yo.
That is beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much, Sarah. Very
Thank you.
inspirational. Wow.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Now let's see if you can solve this. Is the following statement true or is it false? To become an educator, you need to have a degree from university. The answer coming up just a little later.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Since June 2008, Dunisani has performed the role of Deputy Director for the National Department of Education.
Her responsibilities include contributing to the conceptualization and management of projects and activities for the Directorate. She also is very involved in research and policy development for the department. Welcome, Dunisani. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Awesome. Now you work at the Department of Basic Education. So what is your mandate as a department, and how does it differ from the work done by the Department of Higher Education and Training?
The mandate of the Department of Basic Education is to provide quality education for all our learners.
Yeah.
And that includes making sure that we have appropriately qualified teachers who are dedicated to developing every learner to their full potential, ensuring that we have adequate resources such as books, libraries, laboratories, infrastructure, and things like that. It's different from the mandate of the Department of Higher Education and Training in that the Department of Basic Education focuses on schooling, grades R to 12, whereas the Department of Higher Education and Training focuses on skills development, be it through formal education in the colleges or universities, or it could be through the workplace.
From a departmental perspective, what kind of educators are you exactly looking for?
We are looking for people who are academically capable. You need to be able to learn so that you can help others learn. And it is most significant now because the only way for a person to become a teacher is through a Bachelor of Education degree or a bachelor's degree followed by a postgraduate certificate in education. So academic capability is important. We are also looking for people who are dedicated to developing every learner to their full potential, and people who are open-minded, flexible thinkers, more accommodating of diversity. You'll never know who will rock up in your class, so it's important that you are really open-minded and more accommodating.
Now, you've also worked as a foundation phase educator. Now, what is foundation phase and why is it important?
Foundation phase is a term used to refer to the first 4 grades of schooling. It includes grade R, 1, 2, and 3. That particular phase is critical in any person's education life in that you are equipped with basic skills in reading, writing, counting, arithmetic, which are essential in your later life when you have to help yourself learn in high school. So if those particular skills are not well developed right from the beginning, chances are you'll be carrying the deficit from one phase to the next, and usually you won't make it beyond high school. So foundation phase is very, very important.
Yeah. Now, is the training different for foundation phase educators?
Foundation phase educators are specialists in a phase, foundation. It's different from specializing in other phases where you choose a knowledge field like mathematics or a language or your technologies. In foundation phase, you specialize in a range of areas. You have to specialize in teaching mathematics. You have to specialize in teaching languages and life skills. So in that way, it's different in that it's compulsory modules, whereas in the other phases, it's a mix of compulsory and choice of specialization.
Now, are there good job prospects for foundation phase educators?
Very much so. You can look at the prospects in 3 ways. You can decide to stay in the teaching and learning field where you'll become a specialist like a remedial specialist or a curriculum advisor and those types of careers. Or you could move on to management where you could become a head of department, you could become a school manager, or you could be in policy and research where you could go the academic route, you become a lecturer, or you focus purely on conducting research and policy development and analysis.
Now, would you say that we have enough foundation phase educators in South Africa?
Definitely not. More especially in schools where teaching and learning happens in an African language, we're not getting enough students enrolling for foundation phase. So there is a great need in that area.
Now, are there any bursaries available for learners who want to pursue education as a career?
Yes, the National Department of Basic Education has a bursary scheme called the Funza Lushaka Bursary Scheme. It funds people who want to specialize in foundation phase and then also maths, science, technology, and languages for the other phases. You could also consider looking out for a bursary in the provincial departments. They offer bursaries for teaching. Or you could also source a bursary through the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, commonly known as NSFAS.
Now, as a deputy director in the department, what exactly does your job entail?
My job is very diverse. I'm involved in policy, research, strategic planning, project management, and currently I manage the Funza Lushaka Bursary Program, recruitment of people who want to become teachers, and contributing to the work of the Department of Higher Education and Training for initial teacher education.
Yeah, now we already have established that you are the deputy director, but I want to know how that happened. Can you briefly tell us about your journey to becoming a deputy director?
The journey took quite a long time. It took 16 years to get there. I started off as a primary school teacher, teaching sub B, what is now called grade 2. I had a class of over 56, age ranges 6 to 17, and then I moved on to a private school. I became a lecturer at a college and then became a lecturer at a university, became a curriculum advisor. All of that was venturing into my different interests in teaching and learning, in research, in policy development, and then eventually I became a deputy director. All of that was supplemented by further studies in management and education.
16 years, that is amazing. Now, I remember Sapi as well. Now, I want to know, do you enjoy your work?
I enjoy my work very, very, very much. It's diverse. There are routine things, but also a lot of challenging items that I have on my table.
Well, Dunisani, thank you so much for that. It was very, very insightful.
Yes, it was.
You want to be a teacher now?
I want to be a teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It would be good to have a lot more younger people becoming teachers, because that is the mother of all qualifications, of all professions.
Thank you so much.
We got to keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
After the break,
We speak to an educator to find out more about how she is shaping the youth of our nation.
yeah, boy, all of that right here on My Future, My Career, brought to you by Nedbank.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
Our course wasn't perfectly trimmed. There were no greenkeepers, or sprinklers, or even grass for that matter. On our course, the hazards were real. Some might say it wasn't a course at all. But when you've played where we have, you know the true value of those who can make things happen. Nedbank.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Before the break, we wanted to know whether the following statement was true or false. To become an educator, you need to have a degree from a university.
What do you think, Zola?
I think it's true,
You
bro.
think it's true? Well, I've got news for you.
What?
You're quite a clever boy. The answer is indeed true. You can become an educator by doing a 4-year B.Ed degree or a bachelor's degree followed by a postgraduate certificate in education.
Great stuff. But up next, Nogulunga Mjali. Let's check it out.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Nogulunga Mjali was born and bred in Soweto and has been teaching for the past 3 years. She has a degree in psychology from the University of Johannesburg and a postgraduate certificate in education.
Yes, that is correct. Now, she's highly involved in the school she's currently at and is continually asking herself how she can become a greater asset in her environment. How beautiful.
Great stuff.
Really awesome.
Love
Welcome,
it.
Nogulunga.
Thank you very
How
much,
you doing?
guys. Very well, thank you.
You're looking hot.
Thanks.
Now, you've been a teacher for only a few years, right?
Yes.
But I guess the important question, the first question we want to know and the people watching want to know is why, Nogulunga? Why did you become a teacher and are you enjoying your job?
Okay, well, I had great teachers when I was at school, and I'm very passionate about working with children, and I absolutely love my job.
Now, Nogulunga, did you enjoy your time at university and was it challenging to become an educator?
Yes, it was absolutely challenging. We had to do practicals where we had to go into schools and observe other teachers, look at the children as well. On the academic side, we had exams to worry about, semester tests to worry about. But yeah, it was all worthwhile in the end.
Now, Nogulunga, we all have seen the inside of a classroom, clearly. That's why we're here, because of
Yes.
great teachers like you. So we want to know that, what exactly goes on? Give us the scoop.
Okay, all right. Well, we have to attend meetings regularly. We are constantly trying to improve our knowledge through workshops. We also have to constantly make sure that we do research on certain topics in a classroom, for example. There's a lot of administrative work as well, a lot of forms to fill out for learners. And what you see in the classroom when I'm standing up is actually the end product of all these things that are coming together when I'm in my classroom.
True that. True
Yeah,
that.
now you've mentioned a whole lot of these things that you do, but what is your favorite part of your job?
Wow, I think just standing in front of the classroom and looking at those adorable little faces and asking questions and finding out what do they think, what do they feel about these certain topics, watching them know more about themselves, nothing can replace that. Nothing can. I love it as well when you reward them with something and you just see their little faces light up. Then you know that you're doing a good job.
Now, Nogulunga, what would you say are the most challenging aspects of being an educator?
Okay, I think dealing with diversity, you know, sitting down and dealing with learners that come from different backgrounds, who believe in different things, who were taught different ways of life. And then, of course, there's always the question of discipline. Now, we all know that in South Africa, discipline is quite a huge problem for many of our schools. And I think just finding that way as a teacher to be able to handle discipline in a positive way, because it is at the end of the day about positive reinforcement, not negative reinforcement. So it's about rewarding and recognizing the learner. That is extremely important.
True, very true. Now, what are your long-term goals?
Okay, well, I'd like to become an educational psychologist one day, still studying towards that.
Yeah.
Because I'd still like to learn more about counseling children, dealing with children on an emotional level, because there are a lot of children out there that are faced with a lot of challenges at home. So I think I'd like to learn more about how do I find more practical ways of trying to help these young children.
Is corporal punishment still alive in South Africa? Do you still have that?
It's actually not allowed. It is against the law. And as I've said, discipline is about positive reinforcement. I personally do not believe in hitting a child as a way of trying to discipline them. I think that we can find better ways in the classroom, more practical ways of trying to get those children to work in the classroom and really bring out the best in them. Yeah.
Now, what qualities would one need to become a good educator?
Wow. First and foremost, somebody who's compassionate. You've got to be able to have a good heart and a big heart for children. And that entails being kind. That entails when you are seeing a child who is hungry, don't look away. If you have a sandwich, you know, in your handbag, take it out and offer it to the child. Somebody who's patient. You know, not as much as would like you. The ideal situation would be to teach children that are able to sort of do their work on time, submit their work at the date that they're supposed to. But you know, in reality, it's not always like that. There are some learners that work very slowly. So patience in their level of development. And I think you need to be emotionally intelligent. Being able to handle your emotions towards the children. And in saying that, don't be too quick to judge, don't be too quick to be angry. I think somebody who is very self-disciplined, because if you're a self-disciplined person, that means that you'll be able to, as a teacher, plan ahead, which is something that is very important. Organize your things way in advance so that the children are not in a disadvantage. Somebody who's determined, you know, have the passion. And you really tell yourself, you know, you need to take the learners into account. You know, the kids always need to come first. It's not about you at the end of the day. It's about giving your best to these children and really bringing out their full potential.
And why do you think educators are important for our society?
Okay, well, you know, they say that it takes, that educators are extremely important because, hey, we wouldn't be having our president if it weren't for educators. I think educators are important because you get involved in community work as well. It's not about being in the classroom and just teaching. It's about knowing the backgrounds of these children, finding out where they are from, and seeing what is it that I can do within their community to help them to become better learners in the classroom.
Awesomeness. Where were you, Nogulunga, when I was a learner? I would have wanted you to become my teacher. Now, I want to know, what advice would you give to the learners watching right now and they want to become future teachers or educators?
Do it because it really comes from the bottom of your heart, because you really do want to make a difference. And, you know what, don't be the type of teacher who wants to sit behind the table and not do anything else and not get emotionally involved with the children. And I'd like to say, you know, to all the people out there who are thinking of becoming educators, do it because it comes from the core of your heart and because you really, really do want to make a difference in society.
Yeah,
Indeed we
wow.
do. I mean, if I had Oprah money, I would give it to all the teachers. Thank you so much.
Awesome, and you can actually see that you're very passionate about what you do, which is amazing. Thank you so much, Nogulunga.
Thank you, guys.
You've been
Thank
great.
you.
And say hi to
Thank you. I will.
Wow, amazing. Not sure if you've got the patience for this career, then consider this.
From the fairy godmother.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
My name is Donna McCallum, and I am a fantastically fabulous and magical fairy godmother. In each of these episodes, I will be covering one of the 10 tips in more detail. And just so that you don't miss out, here are the 10 tips. Tip number 1, be authentic. Tip 2, play to your strengths. Tip 3, have fun. Do what you love and love what you do. Tip 4, it's your choice. Tip 5, learn to learn. Tip number 6 is dream big. Tip number 7, take action. Tip number 8, overcome your fears. Tip 9, build support around you. And tip 10, gratitude. You know what stops most people from living their dreams? Fear. Fear is what keeps us small. Fear is what makes us choose an ordinary, boring life versus an extraordinary one. To live an extraordinary life, you will need to conquer your fears. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's rather the ability to take action even though you feel afraid. Here's a little secret. In your life, there will always be fear. When you're feeling fear, it means that you're growing and expanding, and you're being stretched into living an extraordinary life. Fear is what stops us from taking action. So if you find yourself procrastinating or not taking action, then you're probably in fear. Here's a way to overcome fear. When you notice that you're not taking action around your future dreams and your career choices, then do this written exercise. Write down, if I take this action, and then write down the action, what's the best thing that can happen? And write down all the amazing things that can happen. And what's the worst thing that can happen? And write down the worst things that can happen. And you will find that the worst things that can happen is never as bad as the fear that you feel. For more about different types of fears and how to overcome them, you can go to my website, www.fairygodmother.co.za.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
With us now is school principal Marietta Westerberg.
Ms. Westerberg has a BAE education from the University of Pretoria and an honours and master's degree from UJ, formerly known as RAW.
Yes. Now, she started teaching in 1978 and was later appointed as an HOD. In 2003, she was appointed as the deputy principal, and in 2009 was promoted to the position of principal at the Metropolitan Rao Call. Please welcome Marietta.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now, as the principal, I want to know what your primary responsibilities are.
A principal has a variety of responsibilities. In the first place, there's administrative and general responsibilities. That would be the day-to-day running of the school, appointing teachers, admissions, and things like that. Then you have to manage your personnel, staff development and leadership development. Communication is an extremely important one. That's communication with the learners, the parents, the teachers, the community, the department. And you also teach. As a principal, you also teach. Those are the main responsibilities of a principal.
So clearly you have to look after the staff and the school itself.
Yes.
But what would you say, which part of your job takes up most of your time?
I'd say administration. Paperwork takes up a lot of time, and second to that would be interviews with individuals and with parents.
Now, how do you become a principal? Do you have to start out by being an educator and work your way up?
Yes, normally that's the path you'd follow. You become an educator, and then you become a head of department of a specific subject or learning area, later a deputy principal, and then finally a principal.
Marietta, I want to know, where did you get the power and the management skills to manage and to lead a school?
It actually starts out as a teacher. As a teacher, you have to manage your classroom, you have to manage your register class. So it's a learning curve. As a HOD, you have to manage your whole department. And then as a deputy, you get more managerial duties. And then as a principal, you manage the whole school.
And do you need any financial expertise to become a principal?
Yes, it's very important that you do have some knowledge of financial issues, because together with the school governing body, you need to have the annual budget for the school ready, and you need to make the school run as you would any business.
Now, is there any specific formal training that you need to go through to become the principal?
Not necessarily, but obviously it's helpful to do that. You could do some training at the university in educational management, And also the department provides training for all new deputy principals and principals.
Now, do you enjoy your job? Because it sounds like you do. And is it rewarding?
I love my job. I wouldn't want to do anything else in the world. I think it's so rewarding to be working with teenagers. I love it. They always keep you on your toes. And besides a child's parents, you are the person who has the biggest influence on their lives. And on the one side, it's extremely rewarding and it's so exciting. On the other side, it is a huge responsibility because you can either make or break them.
What are your greatest challenges as a principal?
I think one of the biggest challenges currently is finding the right educators and also financial difficulties schools have at the moment with the economic situation that's not ideal, and then keeping all learners and educators motivated.
Are there any professional organizations that support or promote educators?
Yes, all educators have to belong to SACE, that's the South African Council of Educators. You're not allowed to teach in South Africa unless you belong to SACE.
Is being a principal the ultimate goal for an educator?
Not necessarily. It depends on the individual. Some teachers are so passionate about their subject. They want to remain in the classroom and teach their subject. But other people who would like to move more towards administration and management and leadership, for those people, the ideal route would be to go the principal route.
Now, is there further scope for advancement once one is a principal?
Yes, again, it depends on the individual. If you want to, you could decide to further your studies in educational management, and then you could become a lecturer at a tertiary institution. Or if you want to go further into the administration side, you could join the National Department of Education or the Provincial Department of Education.
Now, do we have a shortage of qualified principals in South Africa?
Not just principals, but all educators. So to all those young people out there, reconsidering and considering what they might choose as a future career, you should really consider education, because if you're an educationist, you actually are part and parcel of people who are shaping the future of the country.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Marietta.
All the best. All the best with Metropolitan Round Call. Thank you so much, Marietta.
Thank you so much, Zola and Pearl. I enjoyed being on your show.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Before we go to the break, let's give our brain some exercise with this brain teaser.
A man was driving a black truck, okay? His lights were not on, the moon was not out, a lady was crossing the street. How did the man see her?
Think about it. The answer coming up after this.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
After the break.
We chat to Cindy Swalingela. She will give us an overview of the state of education right here in South Africa.
See you after this.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
It's happened 600 times in the last century alone. When spiraling winds gather up water masses, it's a strange storm that follows. In extraordinary times, it's your approach that matters. Nedbank Capital.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
With us now is Cindy Swalingela.
Now, Cindy Swalingela is the Deputy Director General of the Gauteng Department of Education and acting CEO of the Gauteng City Region Academy.
Yes, she has completed her master's degree in education, majoring in educational management and leadership, spent time studying abroad in education, and has over the years occupied leadership roles in a variety of institutions as a teacher, chief examiner, HOD, and director. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, as the Deputy Director General of the Gauteng Department of Education, what are your responsibilities?
Basically, it is to see to it that there is strategic direction in the department, that the managers who report to us as DDGs are actually doing what they are supposed to do in terms of the business plan or the strategic plans of the department. And it is also to see to it that money that has been given to us during that financial year is actually spent. And so it is doing in-year monitoring and ensuring that budget expenditure is done and everything is done according to the plan.
Now, you are also the acting CEO of the Gauteng City Region Academy. Please do tell us, what exactly does the organization do?
The Gauteng City Region Academy was designed in order to facilitate Gauteng provincial government official training of all the officials in the various spheres of government in Gauteng. So we see to it that there is training for all those people, that capacity has been built. We also do bursaries for also employees of Gauteng provincial governments. We give them bursaries to study further because the development of the human being is very important. And we also do bursaries for scholars, learners in schools. When they pass grade 12, they know that in each of our poor schools, that is those schools that do not charge school fees, we ensure that four of learners in each of those schools actually get a bursary.
Nice, that is really wonderful. Wow. Now, I want to know, as a strategist in education, what would you say are some of the challenges that are facing the sector in South Africa?
The sector is faced by various challenges, one of which is the lack of skills in our learners in terms of literacy, numeracy. We're the worst performing country in all the African countries. And if you compare our budget, what we get as education department, and you also compare actually the fiscus of the country, and you compare that with the other poorer countries in Africa, yet those countries perform better than us in terms of grade 3, grade 6 literacy, maths, and English and all those subjects. So we are actually getting behind, and we need to really up our tempo so that our learners perform better like the other countries as well. So the other one, although in terms of access to schools, we are much better than other countries, but there is a lot of dropout in our schools, particularly in grade 10. And we need to look at how we actually look into that and how we actually assist our learners not to drop out in school, but to stay in school.
That is so true, because it's all about the learners. Speaking of which, why would you say it's important to encourage learners to make that transition from school to further education?
We are trying to say to learners that there is school, but there are other channels out there that they can access. It's not only about higher education, because only 5% of all the matrics on a particular year go to higher education. So what happens to the rest of the 95%? We're saying to them there are other avenues like the further education and training, and they can access those either at FET colleges or via learnerships, because learnerships are also equivalent at the end of the day to a matric when you pursue the full learnership. And so these are the avenues we're saying to learners are actually open, so that they don't just see one channel, either university or nothing else.
Yeah. Now, besides being an educator, what other career opportunities are available within the Department of Education?
It's a whole range. It's a whole range. We've got corporate services. We've got HR within that corporate services. We've got financial management within that. So auditors, internal auditors, the department needs that. Any department will need internal auditors and people looking into the accounts, state accountants, HR practitioners, people who actually even look at performance of various individuals and all that. And we've got curriculum specialists. Those that were good teachers are actually even absorbed by the system at some stage, and they become advisors to other teachers in the system. So there's a lot that people can do. And we've got policy makers within the department. We've got policy branches where people can make policy, see to the implementation of those policies. Strategists are needed in the department, project managers, because many departments and various branches within the departments run projects. So you need good project managers who are going to see to the completion of those projects and within the allocated time. It's quite a lot within the education department.
Nice. Now, you've mentioned a lot of career opportunities available, but what would you say is the area with the greatest need in the departments?
The area with the greatest needs in the department, and any department, will be, of course, your teachers. We still need quite a lot of teachers, and in specific subjects. We still need ECD teachers, qualified ECD. We also need science and maths teachers. We need technology teachers. We need foundation phase teachers, particularly in particular mother tongue subjects. So you need those, and those still have got quite a room within the system. Yeah, so there are specific subjects that we are really saying, please come, join us.
Does the department offer any skills development training for its staff?
Oh, yes. Every department does that. We offer our, first of all, I did say about the bursaries for our staff. We also then offer the ACE courses that are offered in order to improve the skills of our teachers. Besides the workshops that we also run in terms of subject competency, we also then skill people in terms of further education, in terms of the National Professional Diploma in Education. And the department actually pays for that, so that teachers who want to improve their qualifications don't actually have to pop up their own money in order to improve their qualifications.
Which is
so
great.
we do. Yeah.
And why would you say teachers are so important in our society?
Well, starting with you, Pearl, I mean, you are a product of a teacher.
Yes.
And teaching, and therefore, in terms of the human development of any human being, they need education, and any country needs education. And the higher the education levels of a country, the higher the human development index. And therefore, we would not be having unemployment and poverty and all those ills if people were well educated. And therefore, education is very crucial. It is the backbone of any country, and I think it's very crucial.
True, and we definitely agree. So what would you say to the learners watching right now and they're interested in pursuing a career in education?
I would say to them, just go for it. This is the profession. This is the mother of all professions. It's so noble. It's so fulfilling. At the end of the day, when you see a learner having achieved something, you become so proud as a teacher. And therefore, it's a very fulfilling personally, at any personal level for anybody. And it's a very good career option. There are lots of benefits. I'm not going to mention the housing allowances and all those things, because those things are quite material. The most beautiful thing about the profession is the fulfillment when you see a learner that has achieved. I'm sure Pearl and Zola's teachers are watching you guys, and they're so proud of you.
Oh.
And this is what makes teaching so fulfilling and so good.
That's why we love our teachers, and we love you so much. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
She's so awesome. Thank you. Wow.
Okay.
I want to be a teacher now. I do. So before the break, we wanted to know the answer to this brain teaser.
A man was driving a black truck. His lights were not on. The moon was not out. A lady was crossing the street. How did the man see her?
How did the man see her?
Because the lady was beautiful. She was just sparkling, and she was wearing a white dress.
Well,
Here's the correct answer.
it was a sunny day.
Yes,
Bright
the moon was
sunny
not
day.
out.
And the moon
The
was
lights were not on.
Okay.
So it was a bright sunny day. Well, thank you so much, Sindiswa.
Thank you very much.
We take it to the top.
And finally, to complete our broadcast, we're joined by Tabile Adams, who's here from the University of Johannesburg Psychological Services and Career Development Department. Now, Tabile will run through some tools on how to choose the right career.
Yes, now this week, Tabile will be dealing with the world of work and how the work environment impacts on the choices you make for your career.
So, Tabile girl, take it away.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
What is the world of work? The world of work is a world that's also known as the marketplace. It's a world in which we get to match who we are, interests, abilities, values, personality with what we do. It's a world in which we spend most of our productive hours in our lives. It's a world in which we enter from the age of 16, 18 until the age of 65. What is a job? A job is a piece of work, either mental or physical, that is done as part of one's occupation for an agreed price. It is a post of employment and can be full-time, part-time position, or a contract. What is a career? A career is a person's progression or general course of action through life or through a phase of life, as in some profession or undertaking. An occupation or profession, often requiring special training, followed as one's life work. If we simplified these two definitions, we could say that work is any form of mental or physical exertion towards an expected outcome. A job is a piece of work for which one is paid or has a contract, and a career is a series of jobs which indicates progression and growth through one's lifetime. Did you know the world of work has changed over the past 10 years due to internationalization, technology, changing structures of organizations, and cultural diversity in the workplace? What are the requirements to get into the world of work? Depending on what you want to do and how quickly you want to do it, you may need specific requirements for some careers and at times not. Currently, the most minimum requirement is a grade 12 certificate. In some cases, a trade certificate, for example, an electrical trade certificate or boilermaker certificate. In some cases, for a medical degree, if you want to pursue a career as a doctor or an engineer, you will need an engineering degree, and so on and so forth. There are some cases which you do not require educational qualifications, and in this case, training can occur on the job. What type of work can one do? There are endless types of careers, and they can be grouped in various ways. Let's look at a few. There's natural resources, construction, finance, health services, educational services, physical sciences, the arts and culture, entertainment, recreation and sports, and finally hospitality. Obviously, there's a whole lot more which are not mentioned. There are many different work opportunities. Here are a few. Learnership. In a learnership, you learn as you earn. They combine theory and practice, which culminates in a recognized qualification within a specific field. The sector education and training authorities are responsible for learnerships, and the training is intended to prepare you for employment or self-employment. Volunteering. This is working without any form of payment. One benefits greatly from volunteering because you gain experience while empowering communities, and it may lead to many opportunities. Entrepreneurship. This is where you create your own opportunities and build a business. Entrepreneurs are people who are comfortable with uncertainty, taking risks, and are courageous. Low-paying service sector work. This is jobs such as cleaners, plastic packers, and construction workers. And finally, the other opportunity is high-skilled professional jobs. These require higher education and training. For example, engineers, psychologists, scientists, and so on and so forth. So, what does this mean for me as I prepare to enter the world of work? You need to understand there's lots of competition in the workplace, and you need to use all the skills which you have acquired throughout your lifetime. No one has a crystal ball to tell you what to do and how to do it, so you should take ownership for your own career choice process. This involves self-insight, researching, planning, goal setting, and reflecting. It's also important to consider all options and be flexible in order to achieve your career goals. How do I become employed? Once you've chosen a type of career, you need to start applying for work. Normally, this follows a process of looking for vacancies, applying by sending a covering letter and a CV, attending interviews, negotiating, and signing the contract. However, many people become employed through networking. Networking is a process of building relationships with people and exploring how you can benefit one another. Sometimes this leads to a person becoming employed by the other within the organization they work. How do I do job research? There are 4 kinds of ways: paper, PC, people, and participation. Paper involves printed information, which you can get from the libraries, career centers, or bookstores, or newspapers. The PC, this is doing your research through the internet or online recruitment sites. People, this involves networking. And participation involves you going to the company to do job shadowing, as well as volunteering in that company to discover, is this really what I want to do? How do I know if a job is right for me? Searching, gathering information may not be glamorous and it takes effort, but really, it's the best way to know what's best for you. When you make your final decision on your dream job, you will also know the reasons why this is the best job for you. Rather than assumptions based on your imagination, you'll have a solid reason why this is the best career for you in your field at this time. Often people talk about work ethics. What do they mean by this? Work ethics is belief in the moral benefit and importance of work, and it's an inherent ability to strengthen character. Employers expect their employees to have a good work ethic and be committed to the importance of the job. Poor work ethics is when one does not care about doing a job well because they do not value the importance of the outcome. How do we know what work will be meaningful to us? In order for us to feel work is important to us and strengthen our character, we need to possess self-insight and the ability to reflect. Self-insight assists us in making the right career choice. If we are to make a good choice, we are likely to find work fun, meaningful, and fulfilling. The ability to reflect enables one to continually evaluate and carefully consider our actions or our work so that we can begin to understand what gives us meaning in life, what we enjoy doing, and what we are good at. By reflecting, we can make good estimations of what will make us happy in the future. I hope this has helped you to understand the world of work a little better. Good luck in making the right career choice.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
I'm certain that the information and tools that you have received today will make a positive difference to your future and your career. As you sit here today, your most valuable asset by far is your future earning stream, and that is your choice. My final advice to you is to use this information to the best of your ability. Go out there and ask questions, contact the appropriate people, investigate your options, and never give up. You are the master of your own destiny. Like Nedbank, you too can make things happen.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
If you enjoyed this broadcast, please speak to your educator to find out about the coming week's topics.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next week.
Yes, and don't forget to register.
And take this note down. We are looking forward to seeing you.
We got to keep it moving. We got to keep it high. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top. We got to keep it moving. We got to never stop. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top.